Let's look at an example where we can use a while loop to solve the problem. In Khan Academy, we had a problem where we had a number analyzer, and it checked if the number was positive or negative, or if it was 0, then it's neither positive nor negative. And so what we want to do is write a program that will analyze your number, tell you if it's positive if it is, negative if it's negative, and then allow you to quit when you enter a 0. So we're going to do that with this number analyzer starter. So let's download that. When I download it in Chrome, it should be on the bottom here. So then I can say show in folder. And now it's zipped up. I want to move that to my working directory. And so here's my working directory. I can paste that in there. And now I can right click and say extract all. And it will extract everything right to that directory. Here it is. So I have a code file and an HTML file, so I can open those up in JEdit. And now if I go to my 141 directory, I can find my number analyzer, and I can find my code, which isn't doing anything yet, and my HTML, which is only just going to run the code. If I open it on the desktop, it alerted hello, and that's because my code is just alerting hello. So our goal is to write some code that will repeat, but it's always a good idea to see if we can get that code to just work once before we start dealing with the repeat. So what we want to do is prompt the user for a number and then tell the user whether that's negative or positive. So our inputs are going to be a number, and our output is going to be a message saying positive or negative. So how do we get an input? Well, we have to call prompt. Well, we want to save whatever we got from that prompt, so let's create a variable, and I guess we can call it entered number. And let's assign that to the value from the prompt. Enter a number. So I always like to just do a double check, and so let's alert our entered number and make sure we don't have any typos. So if we save that, then we can open it up. Well, we still have our hello, and now it asks to enter a number, and it does return that number. Okay, well, we really don't need this hello, so let's get rid of that. Now, it says we need to check if it's positive or negative. Well, if we need to make a check, then we need an if statement. So if our entered number is positive, well, what does positive mean? Well, that means it's greater than 0, right? 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Those are all positive numbers. So if it is greater than 0, then let's write a message. Your number is positive. Well, our user might forget the number that they entered, so let's go ahead and add the number that they entered in there. So we're going to break our string apart and concatenate it together. And we're also going to concatenate the entered number. So here we have a string, and we're concatenating to it the number that was entered, and then we're concatenating to that is positive. Well, I guess we'll use proper English and put the period there. Okay, so if the number is positive, alert a message giving the number and that it was positive. Okay, we met that criteria. If the number is negative, alert a message giving the number that it's negative. Okay, well, we can do that. We can say if, well, how do we know if the entered number is negative? Well, it has to be less than 0, right? So then we can alert that it's negative. Oh, let me just copy that. That seems very similar. Control copy, control paste. Okay. So here we have, if it's less than 0, then we're going to say it's negative. Well, that's a good idea to check that out and see if it works, right? Enter my number 23. Your number 23 is positive. Okay, that's good. Oh, and I'm still alerting that debug message. I can get rid of that. Okay, if I want to run it again, negative 34. Well, your number, negative 34, is negative. Oh, very good. Okay, so I know I can clean up this alert because my code is working. And I have the conditions where I'm checking negative and positive. Well, is this the most efficient way to do the check? If it's true that the number is greater than 0, is it possible that it's also less than 0? No, these are exclusive. So we can go ahead and put the else if in here, because we know that we don't need to check this condition when this condition is true. Okay, well, let's double check and make sure it works. Negative 3, number's negative. I'll have to rerun it again. 5 is positive. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. Let's see what else our program says. It says if the number is 0, alert a message saying thank you for participating. Well, if it's greater than 0, then it's not 0. If it's less than 0, then it's not 0. So the only other case here for our entered number is that it is 0. So I can do else, and I know this is 0 because it's not greater than and it's not less than, so it has to be 0. So I can alert, thank you for participating. Okay, so let's try that. 4, positive. Negative 8, negative. 0. Thank you for participating. I guess I missed my G. Let's fix that. Thank you for participating. Okay, so we have the core functionality. We do all our checks and we give the right messages. What we haven't done yet is this inside the loop, ask the user to enter a number and tell them to enter 0 to quit. Okay, so I've been rerunning this by just refreshing it. And what I want to do is to just keep asking the user until they enter 0. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to need some kind of loop. Now, we're always going to ask them at least once, right? They have to answer the question at least once in order for me to know if they want to quit. Well, if I want a while loop that has to execute at least once, that leads me to believe that I want a do while loop. So I can say do all these things while, okay, what's our while condition? Well, it's kind of hard to read right here what's all in the do while. They're so spread out. So if I go ahead and indent 1, 2, 3, 4 for all of these, now it's easier for me to see that this curly brace matches to the top one. My editor helps by putting a line here and highlighting and showing me, but if I don't have my mouse here, I can still easily see that all of this code is in my do while loop. Well, when do I want to keep going through the loop? Well, for any number except 0, right? 0 is when we want to quit. So while our entered number is not equal to 0, let's keep looping. Let's try it. I'm going to save, refresh. Let's try another number. Oh, positive and negative. And it just keeps going until we put in the 0. Then it knows. Oh, it didn't know. Remember what I said about these double equals? That it's not going to apply any conversion. Well, when we prompt to enter a number, does that return a number or a string? Well, it returns a string. So let's convert that to a number. Now, when we check down here, if our entered number is equal to 0, then we should quit. Well, we got a problem here. We have no way to quit. So we just have to kill it. I'm going to totally close it out. And then we'll have to open it up again. That's where things get a little tricky with loops, because if you end up in an infinite loop, which that's what it was, we were infinitely repeating that loop, we can't get that to stop unless we close out the page. So let's put in a number here, 0 now. It says thank you for participating. And we did quit this time because now this is a number and it's comparing to a number, and we can quit. Well, let's see if we can do more than one number though. Let's say -4, -78, 98. Well, I guess I didn't press OK yet. 90. Let's see. 98. 23 or something. Try another one. 23. We just keep going until we put in our 0. Then it says thank you for participating, and we exit the loop because this condition is now true.